various menus or various options, modeling options, and we're going to be doing polygons today. So from this drop down menu you can actually go into the polygon modules. Alright, so let's start. So what we do is we'll start by creating a sphere. So we can go into create polygon and sphere, and then we create a sphere like this. Alright, so what we are going to do is we're going to go into this mesh, and I'm going to tell you each options one by one. I'm not going to take up all the options. This is a very basic course, so I'm going to tell you what is important just to understand the basics of modeling. Alright, so just to understand, I'll just take this out. Alright, so let's just duplicate this. Right now if you look at these two models, they are two different models. So let's select both of them and hit combine. So now they become one. So this is how we combine models. Alright, now separate is exact opposite of combine. So if you hit separate, it is going to separate these models. So that is exactly opposite of combine. So let's just delete this one and bring this model into the center. Alright, now because we combine the model, the pivot point actually got shifted. So what we can do to bring this pivot point back into the center is to select this model, go into modify and select center pivot. So now that we have this model, it is going to go into the center of the model. So that's how you change the pivot, or you can bring the pivot exactly into the center of the model. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and see what extract is. So let's say we select a face and then hit extract. So now these two faces are actually extracted from the model. So you can actually see, you can actually move them out if you have to. So they are no more a part of the same geometry, they are a different geometry. So that's how you can actually extract model or extract faces. And I'll just hit Control Z. Alright, so we're back into the object mode. Alright, so now this is something called smooth. Smooth gives more divisions to the geometry and makes it look even smoother. So if we hit smooth, it is actually given more smoothness and it looks much more cleaner. We're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do this. No, reduce. So what reduce is gonna do is it is gonna reduce the geometry by 50%. So what it did was it almost was opposite of smooth, so it reduced the geometry by 50%. So let's just go back, and if we hit reduce here by 50%, reduce, so it has reduced the geometry by 50%, and that's how it looks. So we'll just go back to our original geometry and then cleanup. Cleanup is basically if you have 5-sided faces, then you can use cleanup to quadrangulate those faces. It'll do its best to clean the mesh and quadrangulate or create 4-sided faces. So that's how that's where we use cleanup. Now let's select this and hit triangulate. So it is going to triangulate all the faces, so you will have 3-sided faces. Quadrangulate is exactly opposite of triangulate. So if you select this model and hit quadrangulate, it is going to give you a 4-sided face. So that's the whole point of having a quadrangulate. Now fill hole. Fill hole is basically, let's just select 2 of these faces and just we'll just delete these. And now if I select all these faces, all these edges, and say fill hole, so it is going to fill this hole for me. Although we will have to go ahead and make this edge manually so that we can move these edges independently. So that's what the fill hole is. Then we go ahead and see what create polygon tool is. So if you hit create polygon tool, you can actually create a polygon. So that's how we create polygons. We can use this to create sometimes we can, to create a landmass, we can create various geometries through this create polygon tool. Sculpt geometry is you can actually what you have to do is you have to first select and hit sculpt geometry, and then you can sculpt a geometry. If you want to reduce the brush size, all you have to do is to hit B and then middle mouse click and drag, and then you can reduce the brush size. So this is how you can actually sculpt your geometry, and you can do a lot of stuff with this tool. And let's just go ahead and delete everything and create a new sphere. Okay, alright, so now that we have a new sphere, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it right from the center, and I have deleted this. Now we have this. Now let's go ahead and check mirror geometry. So what it does is it will create a mirror geometry for this sphere. So yeah, so now that we have the geometry, this has been mirrored. So a lot of time we create a model and we create the half of it, and then we mirror it to get the exact same size. A lot of time we model cars, we make half of the car and then we'll mirror the geometry so that we get exactly the same on the other side. So that's how you can use this tool. Alright, so now we know what's in the mesh. We'll just go ahead and quickly look at what's in edit mesh. So let's just delete this and we'll create a new sphere. Alright, so let's have a look at the edit mesh tool. So keep faces together. Alright, so let's just say we select these 4 faces. Let me just select, okay, let's just select these 4 faces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude these faces. So right now these faces are going together, or if I scale these, they're sticking together. So let's say if I go ahead and turn this off, and if I hit G to extrude again, so if I hit extrude, and if I see, then the faces are no more together. So that's how you can use this this tool, keep faces together. So that's the utility of that. Alright, so now that you've already seen what extrude is, what it does is if you have this face, you can literally extrude it out of the sphere, and you can scale it as well. So that's the whole point of having an extrude tool. So that's what extrude is. Let's go into the bridge. Alright, so let's just go ahead, go back into the object mode, delete this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 spheres here. Alright, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this. I'll hit Ctrl D, and I've duplicated this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these 2. So now we have these 2 geometries combined. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select faces, and I'm going to just delete these, and I'm going to select faces, 3 faces here, and I'm just going to delete these. And then what I'll do is I'll just go ahead, go into the edge mode, and I'm going to select all these faces. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bridge these 2 holes. I'm going to make a bridge between these 2 holes. So let's just go ahead and say bridge. So you can see it is actually created, or it has filled this geometry, and it has created a bridge between these 2 geometries. You can actually change divisions here. You can do just to get a more smoother geometry. So you can do a lot of stuff with this tool. Alright, so that was bridge. Alright, let me just delete everything and then just go back to and create a sphere again. Alright, so we have a new sphere. Let's just check out the other tools. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the split polygon tool. What split polygon tool is, you can actually manually create these polygons, and you can split them. So now you have this polygon and you just split it, so you can actually use it for various. If you want to create a circle around it, you can just keep creating these polygons. So you can use this tool. This is a very useful tool. Right, so let's just go back and let's check the other tools. This is cut face tool. I think we jumped one of the tools, so let's just go back and see what cut face tools is. So basically it is going to cut the faces. Now if you look at it, it has actually cut from the other side as well, so you can actually just delete this half and you can get this nice shape. So that's how you can use cut face tool. Let's hit Ctrl Z and let's just go back to the sphere. Now we go into the insert edge glue. It is pretty easy, so you can actually insert edge loops. This is a very handy tool when you are actually working on the fine details of the model. You want to make sure that the edge is soft. If you want to make an edge softer, or if you want to make the edge really harsh or hard, this is a very useful tool, and we often use this when we are actually into the final stages of the model. Right, so now that we know about this tool, what we're gonna do is we're gonna see what the next tool is. So this is offset, so this will give you edge on both the side. So this is also quite a handy tool. It is going to help you the same way. It is going to give edges on the both side of the edge selected. Alright, so that was the offset edge tool. Add divisions, we're not going to see. Slide edge tool is if you select this and hit middle mouse click, it is going to slide. So you can use this if you have to, but you can do it manually as well. So not a very useful tool. Again, then we go back to transform component. We're not gonna do this. Then we go into poke face. Basically what poke face does is it is just gonna just like create, it is gonna just poke the face. So we now have this geometry, and yeah, so this is how poke face works. You can use it if you really have to. It's completely up to you how you use these tools. And then we go into wedge face. I'm not going to explain duplicate face. So let's just select this and hit duplicate face. So now we have a duplicate face. You can use this in various manners, in rigging, for rigging, etc. It is very useful. So yeah, that's how you can duplicate faces. Alright, so let's just go back and see what is the next. Duplicate face, detach this one is detach component. I'll just bring this here. Alright, so let's just go here, and I'm going to select these vertices. So these vertices are a combination of 4 different components, that comes from all these 4 faces. So if I hit detach component, what I'm going to do is I can just detach all these 4 different components. So you can see how detach components has actually detached one single vertices into 4 different components. Now what we can do is we can just go ahead and hit merge. So it is going to merge these 2 vertices. Select these 2, hit merge, and let's say we want to bring them into the center. Select this one, and hit merge to center. So this is how you can merge them back. Alright, so the next tool is collapse. Alright, so what you do is we are gonna just select few of the faces that we want to collapse, and what it's gonna do is I don't use this tool much, but I'm just still gonna show you. So that's collapse, so it just collapsed the geometry. So that's how you use collapse. Alright, and next is merge edge tool. This one is, I'm not going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about delete edge vertex tool. So let's just select an edge. Okay, if you want to select an edge loop, so you can go here and say select this edge loop tool and select this edge loop. If you hit delete, alright, let me just say, if you hit delete, it doesn't seem to work. Let me just, alright, hit edge. If you delete, so what happens is we will still have, or if you've actually selected this as well, and if you delete this and if you go into vertices, you can still see there is a vertex here. So if you have, to avoid this, to avoid having these vertices here, what we need to do is, if you're deleting the edges, the good idea is to select these two edges and then hit delete edge vertex. So that way we will not have that extra vertex here. So that's what the delete edge vertex do. Okay, now then we have a chamfer vertex. What it does is, it'll just let's just see what it does. It just creates a chamfer around the vertex. So that's what chamfer vertex does. Alright, let's just go back to our original model. We go back to the object mode. Alright, so let's see what bevel does. We won't be looking at these three tools because I don't think it is a good idea to have them in the basic course. So these are the various tools that we can use while you're trying to model stuff. Let's just try and create something, and that'll give you a good idea of how to create stuff. So what I'm gonna do is, I have this model of a pen drive with me, and I'm just gonna try and create this pen drive for you. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go ahead and create a polygon. What I'll do is, I'll just first create switch off this interactive creation. So what will happen now is, if I hit a cube, Maya is going to create a cube for me instead of me creating a cube. Alright, so now that we have this cube here, I'm just going to try and create a pen drive. So let me just squeeze this, and what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to bring this and try and get the shape of a pen drive. So this is how long my pen drive would be, the body, and then what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna select this face and I'm gonna go ahead and extrude. I'm gonna extrude this, and so I can create, so that I can create the thing that goes into the computer. I'll hit G again to extrude, and this is how it comes out. Right, so yeah, so it looks pretty decent. And then I'm gonna hit extrude again. Okay. What I'm gonna do is, I want it even smaller. This looks a little big to me, so I'll just make it a little smaller. Okay, alright, so this looks pretty good. I'll hit G again, and I'm going to extrude this. So I think this is good enough. So now what I'm gonna do is, select this face again, because this is the thing that goes into the computer, so we need to have a hole here. So we're gonna just again reduce the size of this, and then now that we have extruded this, we'll hit extrude again and then just push it back in. So now this gives us a nice smooth thing that can go into the computer. So yeah, so now what we can do is, we need to we'll see how we can use our edges to smoothen this out. So now if we just go ahead and if we try and smooth this model, let's see what happens. So oh, this looks like something really went wrong. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and try and see how we can use the insert edge loop tool to kind of get a nice hard edges. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this offset edge loop, and I'm just gonna use this alright, let me go back to this mode. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and use insert edge loop, and I'm gonna give a nice edge here, and I'm gonna give another nice edge, hard edge here. So the closer you are to the original edge, the harder it will be. And then I'm gonna create one more edge right here. So now this is gonna be pretty sharp, and even this is very sharp. So I'm gonna just create this here so that it is sharp enough, and then I'm gonna create one here, and then I'm gonna create the other one here, just so that the inner edge is also sharp. So I'm gonna create a one edge here which is going to be really sharp, and we're going to create a one edge here. So what it is going to do is it'll keep the inside of this thing very sharp. And let's just create one edge right here so that the back of our model is sharp as well. So let's just go ahead and smooth this model to see how all these edges have affected this model. Let's just smooth it. Alright, so it is pretty decent, much better than before. The edges are hard, so I think what we need to do is we need to make sure that the sides are also well edged. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create these hard edges here. This is exactly what I'm going to do on the other side of this, and yeah, and exactly same thing on the bottom of the model, so that we get nice sharp edges on both the sides. Alright, so and then we need to create one on this side. Okay, so we have nice hard edges now. Let's just go ahead and see how it looks when we have to smooth the model. Alright, it looks pretty decent. Let me just turn this wireframe on. So it already has started to look like a pen drive. So what we need to do is we need to create a small chip which always stays inside. So we can create another cube. You can have a different model, and we can just push it out and then just have it so that it looks like a part of it. So let me just, yeah, so you can just go back into the 4-view thing, and this is the best way to model. You have to model in all 4 views. So now that I know it is exactly in the center, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scale this and make sure that this is where I want it to be. So I'm just gonna scale it right. Yeah, so it looks pretty decent. Alright, so I'm just gonna push it back a little. Alright, yeah, it looks pretty good. Alright, so now we have thing that actually goes into the computer. We can just scale it so that it is not seen. It is right on the edge. Okay, yeah, looks pretty good. We can just go ahead and look in the top view and make sure that it is just touching the edge. Okay, yeah. So now that we have this thing, let's just go ahead and see how it looks. Okay, so now we have this. So this is pretty much how you can use various tools to create objects or to create models. You can, if you want to create the holes that you have on the pen drive, I would just simply select this, go ahead again, do this, keep the faces together, extrude. I'm just gonna scale these two guys. I'm just gonna keep faces together. Let me just, okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna extrude. I'll just go ahead and do this, and you have those two small little holes on top of the thing. I'm just gonna do this and extrude again, and then I'll just simply hit delete. So what I'm gonna have is this nice and then you can actually delete some of the geometry. You can just adjust some of the geometries inside so that they cannot be seen. So yeah, so this is pretty much how you would create a pen drive using the various tools that you have, and this is going to just harden the edge, and let's just see how it looks when you smooth it. So yeah, this is how you can create a pen drive, and this is a very basic model. You can do a lot more, so I would just like you to go ahead and test out all these various options and see how things work for you. You can just do a lot more than what we did today. This was a very basic